Have you ever felt like you just can't wake up early no matter how hard you try? Or maybe that you thrive in the morning while others struggle? The reason isn't just personal preference, it's genetics. Chronotypes are your biological sleep wiring determined by your circadian rhythm, your body's natural internal clock. And what we know is that our sleep cycles are heavily influenced by evolution and genetics, meaning forcing yourself into different schedules often backfire. Today we'll explore the science of chronotypes, how they impact your sleep, how to identify your chronotype, and how working with your body's natural rhythm leads to better energy, focus, and overall health. If you don't know me, I'm Daniel. I'm a sleep coach, and I spent 10 years in a debilitating journey with insomnia. Spent over $180,000 on all different modalities, devices, doctors, biohacks, to figure out what works. I found above all else it's about healing sleep at the root, and now my purpose is to support others on their journey. Chronotypes are not random, they're evolutionary. Our ancestors benefited from having different sleep patterns within a tribe, right? This ensured that any given time, someone was awake to keep watch for danger, improving survival. Because sleep is a pretty vulnerable time. This means that if you're a night owl or early riser, it's not a personal flaw, it's a way your genes are designed. However, modern society favors early risers, which creates chronic sleep debt in those with later chronotypes. So let's begin to break down the main chronotypes and their biological rhythms and how they affect your sleep. Let me first say that you may hear different naming conventions, and it's broken down into 3 categories instead of 4, but I find that these 4 that I'm going to share are probably most helpful. First is the bear chronotype, 50% of the population more or less. They follow the sun's natural cycle, wake up with daylight, get tired after sunset. Peak energy tends to be mid-morning or early afternoon. The best sleep schedule for them, 10 to 12 p.m. bedtime, wake up around 6 to 7 a.m. The most common struggle with this category is afternoon energy dips, and they need a consistent energy schedule to function well. If you wake up naturally between 6 and 8 a.m. and feel most productive before lunch, you're probably in this bear category. Most of society's work schedules are built for bears, so be grateful if you fall into this one. Next is the lion chronotype, about 15 to 20% of the population. These are the early risers. They wake up naturally between 4 and 6 a.m. Peak energy is early morning, and productivity starts to drop after lunch. Their best sleep schedule, early bedtime, 9 to 10 p.m. to avoid burnout. The common struggle here is getting exhausted in the evenings, struggles with late night socialization. Lions are the classic morning people. They thrive on early starts but need to protect their evening wind down routine to avoid overdoing it. Now the wolf chronotype, 15 to 20% of the population as well. Naturally late sleepers, struggle with early mornings. These are the night owls. Peak energy late afternoon and evening after 4 p.m. Their best sleep schedule is generally around midnight and sleeping until about 8 or 9 a.m. But often they're forced into earlier schedules because of our societal structure. So common struggle is just functioning in a world built for these early risers. So wolves tend to get labeled as lazy, but in reality they're just wired in for a different rhythm. If you feel most alert at night and groggy in the morning, this might be your chronotype. Lastly, the dolphin chronotype. This is about 10% of the population. These are the light sleepers, prone to insomnia, fragmented sleep, so this might be a lot of you guys. Peak energy is mid-morning, but energy fluctuates throughout the day. The best sleep schedule is a strict bedtime routine being key, aiming for a consistent 7 to 8 hours, so consistency above all else. The common struggle here is tend to be higher stress, trouble falling asleep, and staying asleep. This is because dolphins are often perfectionists and struggle with anxiety, which can lead to trouble unwinding at night. If you are a dolphin, this means prioritizing the relaxation techniques and doing the internal work. So identifying our chronotypes. So after listening to these descriptions, I want you to intuitively check in with yourself on what you think your natural rhythm is. This is challenging to do because our society forces us to sleep and wake in ways that is unnatural to most of our rhythms. Either waking up too early since we were a kid, or encouraging late social nights where we are activated getting artificial light past the time the sun has gone down. So yeah, there is a lot to sift through, but I want you to recall a time when you've been on vacation or camping and had no responsibilities. Now, if you don't remember a time, imagine you are on vacation in nature and you have absolutely nothing you have to do. When did you, or does your gut tell you that you would fall asleep naturally and wake up naturally? What times just sound best to you? This may not sound scientific, but our gut instincts are tied to our biology and can be incredibly accurate, but it can be challenging to sift through the noise of the societal conditioning. So if you find yourself with an answer, this is very likely your chronotype. The time that you feel you would most naturally enjoy falling asleep and waking up, if there was zero pressures, this is your natural rhythm. Now, if this is still a struggle to find, there is a quiz that can help you begin to identify the chronotype called the MEQ. I'll put the link in the description below. I'd suggest taking a break from this video now to answer this question before we move forward. So how does all this affect sleep? We have found that forcing yourself against your natural chronotype leads to cognitive impairment, mood disruptions, and metabolic issues. Here's why. Your circadian rhythm determines when melatonin is released. And this disruption in the sleep rhythm increases sleep debt, which affects memory, learning, and mood regulation. A mismatch between your chronotype and work schedule leads to more chronic stress and lower performance, right? Because early birds tend to be more productive in these structured environments, while the night owls show higher creative problem solving at later hours. So if you feel exhausted despite getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep, your sleep schedule may be out of sync with your chronotype. So the idea behind chronotype is to empower you around your natural rhythm. It's simply being more connected to your body and living in sync with when you are most active, most creative, most productive, need downtime, and need sleep. Look, science likely doesn't have chronotypes down perfect, just like most things, but it does point to our individuality as humans. The chronotypes I see as general guidelines, but I suggest allowing this to empower you to begin to listen to your body on a deeper level. Clear what you know about when you should wake up, when you should be most productive, and see if there is room to start moving through the world in a way that is aligned with how you feel. For most of us, it doesn't mean we start by going to bed 3 hours later, but if you can and your body is asking for it, do it. But this isn't just about sleep. It's about recognizing when your body feels most active and wants to move. That's the best time to work out. When your mind feels most active, that's when you do your heaviest thinking tasks at work. And of course, most importantly, when do I feel most tired and ready for bed? So again, society is built more for morning people, which can make life harder for the more evening types. So here are some ideas on how to support that. Use artificial light strategically. Bright light in the morning for morning types or early morning walks. Dim light in the evenings for evening folks. Nap wisely. Bears and wolves, those categories, may benefit from a 20-minute nap in their schedules, if their schedules are disrupted especially, but nap cautiously because it may interfere with your next night of sleep. If possible, structure work tasks around your chronotypes, right? So the lions are more morning deep work, wolves evening creativity. For social events, consider when you want to socialize. Maybe it's earlier and winding down later, while others may rather have the more important conversations later in the day. And for whatever category you are, getting that first morning light helps shift and support the rhythm in which you are forced into. So if your job forces you into like a misaligned schedule, using these small adjustments can help mitigate circadian rhythm misalignment. So I want to close with understanding your chronotype is not about labeling yourself. It's about working with your biology instead of against it. So here's what to do next. If you haven't already identified your chronotype using the MEQ quiz, please do so. And more importantly, start paying attention to your natural wake and energy cycles. Next, make small adjustments to your schedule, whether it's shifting wake up time, meal timing, or optimizing your work hours. And lastly, I'm going to say prioritize sleep hygiene to support your body's natural rhythm, and if you have to work outside of that rhythm. I have a video on best sleep hygiene practices that I would highly recommend. So chronotypes aren't something you have to change. The goal is just to align yourself to fit your body's natural rhythm for better sleep and performance and overall well-being. But if it's not perfect, that's okay too. This is just another lever to consider when trying to improve your sleep. If this helped, I'd love to know which chronotype you relate to most. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.